From the missing to the UFO world, it is time for the UFO report. Filling in for little Timmy Senor, we got Random Guy tonight.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Big Bad Random Guy filling in for our good friend, little Timmy Senor, who is out tonight on the injured reserve list. Well, not him, his wife is, but that's okay. We're going to do this very well, and it's that time of the night where we say hello to all the agents and agencies hanging on out with us. Give us a call sometime. Say hello. We don't have to provide you a number. You already have it. And remember, some of us can be bought. Some of us can. Yeah, I know. Random Guy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are we doing tonight?
We are doing absolutely great. It is a good night for some UFO stories, and we're going to start with one that is very, very interesting because James Fox, a very highly acclaimed director and filmmaker in the UFO world, the man who brought us the story of the 2004 Nimitz incident, has come out and offered a highly substantial reward, if we could call it that, $200,000 for someone out there who has a video of an alien from the, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Varghina. Varghina?
No, it's Varghina.
Varghina, thank you.
Varghina, Brazil.
UFO landing where aliens apparently came out of this. Random Guy, I know you've been studying up on this all day. What do you know about this?
So it's an interesting story. It's first of all, tonight, I apologize. I'm not wearing the wristbands. I got the late tag in. I wanted to represent Timmy with the wristbands, but I didn't have any. But don't worry, the UFO report is stacked. So Varghina, Brazil, 1996. Why does 1996 ring a bell? Well, that's the date in the year Random Guy throws around a lot, isn't it? Is it not? That might just be a coincidence in this case, but we're going over to Brazil. And the way the story breaks down is during this occurrence in January of 1996 in Brazil, there is allegedly 3 women that witness a alien encounter, and the corroboration of this alien is there's an air traffic controller that's on the record in some YouTube videos speaking about American helicopters that did some clandestine landings and they were unapproved airspace, and some other tracking that went on with that. So the story goes, a UFO crashed. Either one or more beings emerged from that crash. 3 women witnessed it. A police officer grabbed one of these beings, rescued him off to some cordon. And then as the story progresses, if you believe in such fantasy, or as the facts are stated by the witnesses, even one of the original witnesses becomes impregnated by said alien. And there is birth given at a hospital that is witnessed by others. It gets a little wonky because James Fox gets involved in this later on, watches all these interviews and everything going on, offers the reward you stated. Brazil's side of the story, they did actually release a counter release to what occurred. And they came out and they said that the alien that was encountered by these 3 women was in fact a homeless man who was very dark-skinned and dirty and disfigured in the face. They further went on to state that the helicopters the Americans arrived with in this crash site were scheduled in part of an unrelated exercise. They did corroborate that the Americans were there and there was drills going on, and that the firefighter and the officer involved were also there, but grew sick due to some biological nature that they explained away. And the interesting part of all of this is they said, what about the lady that claimed that she was impregnated by the alien? Well, the Brazilian government will have you believe that there was a couple that had dwarf twins the same day that she had her baby, and those ones were the ones that were photographed instead as aliens. So there you have it. What is your take on the summary of that story, Dave?
Well, you know what? First off, I'm going to say, listening to you tell an alien story, even though you don't believe in aliens, being here, that is, even though you have aliens yourself, is quite the irony. I am going to say that. Okay. But I mean, the idea behind this story, it's very famous. You know, this UFO crash happens. I'm summarizing what you said. And then these aliens are running around. It almost reminds me of the movie Signs, you know, where the alien, when they first or start coming into focus, and there's that famous so-called video from Mexico in the movie where these kids are having a birthday party, and the parents call the kids in because they see something strange, and then they're got the camera pointed out the window, and there's this alien that walks by, you know, and everybody's freaking out. It reminds me sort of like that story, you know, and we have the ideas of radiation being around with the police officer dying. We, you know, the whole pregnancy thing, that is weird, extremely weird, you know, but if you believe in the hybridization program, then it's not so weird at all. But the big thing is, apparently there is a video of one of these extraterrestrials or whatever they are that is out there, and people have seen it. They have confirmed that they've seen it. But James Fox is putting his money where his mouth is and offering up $200,000 for somebody to give him the real footage of that video of the extraterrestrial. And he has stated that if he does pay the reward of $200,000 to someone, he will release it to the public. Do you think?
I think it's.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's interesting, especially with just literally last week, we were talking about the Chuck Clark video, right? The one that supposedly your buddy Logan Paul has possession of. When we're talking about these things, it becomes interesting because from my understanding, I mean, let's be honest, James Fox is fairly respected, right? Would you agree?
Yes.
So I think the fact that he's interested in it, it's almost like a put up or shut up move for him in this case versus in contrast to the other video, the Logan Paul video, because I feel like in this instance, he really wants that hard evidence because we do have the conflict of stories and versions. I don't know. I haven't seen his personal take or his own testimony on what he feels about this. But the fact that he's putting the money up is great because I think that's how we ought to approach a lot of these things going forward is if there's people with money out there, you put $200,000 down and you get a legitimate UFO video, that's $1 million tape. You're going to make your money back, right? So I think the people that have the wherewithal and the respect and the capability to make and edit these movies, if they can get a hold of them by bounties, more power to them. And if not, it does kind of shrink down the viability of some of these more extracurricular stories, right?
Well, I mean, you talk about the $200,000. Brazil is not a rich nation, citizen-wise. $200,000 can take somebody right out of the poorhouse and put them in a little bit of life of luxury.
You're a millionaire. You're a millionaire in Brazil for 200 grand American. For
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, you know, the way I look at it is that is life-changing money for somebody, unless they are a government official who cannot release the video for whatever reason, whether it's their own government that is controlling it or whether it's a foreign government, say like the United States, who is asking them to keep it absolutely quiet. You know, I mean, so there's a lot of pressure going on here for anybody who has that, because do you take care of your family or do you bow down to the government agents that say, no, this can't go public. We can't have this go public.
No, 100%. And I think, so something that was interesting that struck me is, I mean, the whole case is clearly interesting, but one of the things as a previous first responder myself and a paramedic and being in EMS, the medical field, understanding law enforcement and those dynamics, The story of the officer falling ill was not actually initially a radiation issue. It was a foreign undiagnosed bacteria. Now, as we all know here in the States, we have pretty good healthcare. I mean, the pricing sucks and stuff like that, but we have pretty much the best first world healthcare you can get if you need it. We have some of these new antibiotic resistant strains, right, that we've encountered just as human beings because we overuse antibiotics and stuff like that. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that, I won't call them a third world nation, but less than a first world nation might have trouble in diagnosing and or treating a bacterial infection. So that part to me actually still congruent with, it's a plausible explanation either direction.
Well, I did some calculations here. Thank you, Google, for this. $200,000 American equals out to 999,119 reals and 78 cents. You're right. That puts the average Brazilian into a near millionaire status,
right,
by a few hundred real.
Sorry, my exchange rate was off in random guy land, but I was close.
Yeah. Well, just so the public knows, for 1 real in Brazilian money or currency is equivalent to 20 cents US. I mean, that is life altering for a lot of people.
5 to 1.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the financial prospect for somebody to do this coming from that country, depending on who has the video or how many videos of it are out there, because we don't know that either. Okay. I mean, this could be a life-changing moment, not only for ufology, but for the person who gives him the video. Well, you know, the only thing that I would be very concerned of, random guy, and I'm curious your thoughts, is how is James Fox, you know, unless he has some secrets that he's holding on to, how is he going to know whether or not that the real video comes into his hands?
Well, I trust, again, this is me. I only know him from others. So I know people that know the man personally, just in my brief time being, you know, involved with you guys. I've met people who know, work with, friends, and they've been able to substantiate. My research on him started with the Logan Paul, you know, excerpt of why is he throwing $100,000 around or whatever, who is this guy? So I started reaching out to people I know, even people in the SOR network that have been super helpful to me. And, you know, coming at this whole, from the frame of being a skeptic, it actually is very helpful because we get balance here. So I'm able to bring my skepticism, but that doesn't mean I'm ignorant. So when people tell me, hey, this is this guy's pedigree, here's his resume, here's what he's into, this is his motivation, then at this point in time, I give the benefit of the doubt to James Fox that he has the resources and professionals around him to determine if something is realistic or not. Now, my only concern with standing is the fact this video would have to be from 1996. So we're talking either 8mm VHS, something of the like, right? Like 480p or less resolution. It's 20-something years old, nearly 30 years old, and it hasn't come out yet. And like you mentioned, it's a country with severe poverty in certain pockets. So I think the likelihood that we ever see something of this in a tangible way is very low, but I applaud Mr. Fox for at least broaching the subject and putting up or shutting up. I like that.
Well, I think too, he's also calling the bluff of a lot of people. You know, I mean, look, if he was putting up $10,000, well, almost everybody can put up 10 grand. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for some of us, it's a struggle, but you can come up with 10 grand. It may take some time, but you can.
Random guy's done that at a casino.
It's one night at the casino for the random guy, right? 200,000. There's not a lot of people in North America who have an extra 200,000 sitting in their bank account doing nothing. I mean, this is where I find it very, very important. I mean, and Nicole brings up a good point in the chat room. How does he get this video across? You know, this could be confiscated by, you know, the US.
So that's the other element. If we're going to believe that this was if we go to the conspiracy side of things, right, and the U.S. responded because we have clearly more experience, more capability to recover craft, aliens, whatever resources they need, then yeah, it would make sense that everybody on scene, we'd sterilize it. They'd either pay people off, threaten, do whatever they had to do to get, in possession of that. And that would make sense. It would, unfortunately. That would be a realistic scenario.
Mm-hmm. We got about 90 seconds here before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, it's a UFO report. Random guy filling in for our good friend Tim Senor, who's taking the night off tonight as his wife's on the injured reserve list. She's day to day, probably on the 15-day DL. She'll be okay.
Talking about injured reserve, I feel it's a great time to talk about the Vegas Knights versus Oilers game tonight. Did you happen to catch the score? I didn't catch it.
No comment. I'm not. It's one game. It's one game. Okay, it's a long series.
Yes.
Okay, my Edmonton Oilers are going to the Stanley Cup. That's exactly what's happening. All right, we're going to be part of Gary Bettman's nightmare, which would be an all-Canadian final between Edmonton and Toronto, even though I hope to God Toronto doesn't make it that far. But nonetheless, it's a nightmare for American television networks, a nightmare for Gary Bettman, the commissioner of the NHL. But Oilers in 6. I'm calling it right now. Oilers in 6.
I'm not going to brag. I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that score tonight because we've been struggling a little bit here. So I'm happy to see that against a good team.
Well, let's see where it goes, my man. Let's see where it goes. From Varghina, it's amazing how Brazil has really taken a real lead on ufology and some of the greatest cases that are coming out. We don't hear about those cases in the United States or Canada anymore. I don't know why, but they just don't seem to happen, at least publicly. And we'll get more into that with Random Guy tonight as he is filling in for Tim Senor on the UFO report. More of what's happening in Brazil. Then controversy between former Deputy Secretary of Defense Chris Mellon and Arrowhead Sean Kirkpatrick. We'll get into that next as well on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear, dude.
How am I doing?
Good start. And there's Little Peyton with another great super chat. What are you drinking there? That looks like probably a Mountain Dew. That looks like a Mountain Dew.
I think I'm just doing like communion by 22 ounce.
Doing the do.
That's it. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't drink.
Tomorrow for us is 14 days until we get to hang out again.
I know. I'm pretty stoked on it, dude. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty excited.
I'm stoked too, man. I'm stoked too. It's great. It's absolutely great. The big
I don't even know what to wear. I'm so excited. That's like going to my prom right now when I go to SOR. It's like
I know.
I get a corsage or what's going on here?
Oh, we're gonna. Of course you do. Of course you do.
I'm not gonna have my date with me. Tim's gonna be my date.
Well, he is kind of cute. He is a pretty boy. So Tim, if you're listening, Random Guy's got you booked.
I'm sure he'll try to book me anyways.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what I am really excited for. Is I get really excited for our listeners, those who have the ability to come this year. I get really, really excited. Yes, Max, Vicks inhaler. I get excited for our listeners because they get to meet you, they get to meet me, they get to meet Tim, they get to meet a bunch of people who they've heard on this show for years, whether it's Geraldine, whether it's Merle, whether it's Melinda Leslie or Jim Goodall, who are man crushing on. And, many.
He's a homie now. Me and Jim are homies.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for our fans. They get to meet up with you and everybody, because and even meeting their own fellow chatters, or like we even have people who listen in, who are not in our chat room, but just to meet the everybody else. It's, to me, that's the greatest moment of it all. It's not the partying, it's not the drinks, it's not the show that we're going to put on
It's
for
not the
everybody.
women. Never mind.
It's just, dude, it's just about everybody. It's about everybody just getting to meet each other and hang out. And Mike Bothwell, just go get one of your fast passports. We can do that, and get your butt down there. So I'm very excited for our fans, and that's what I'm excited about, giving away the swag bags. I'm excited about giving away, or people getting photographs, with everybody who is going to be there, because, like I said last night on the air, we do this for not us. We're not doing this for us. We're doing this for our fans. A conference is, if you do a conference is so business oriented, whereas this is all about the fans meeting really cool people, meeting their fellow listeners alike. And that's what drives me to do this.
And when you're done meeting cool people, you can meet me.
Yeah, I'll be on the I'll be on the left.
If I don't get shanked, I'll feel like it's a success. Some crazy person is going to be like, "You're the disinfo guy."
That may happen. It may happen. You and Melinda Leslie may brawl. I'm going to be honest with you. My money's on Melinda.
It's been a while since I had to shoot somebody, so.
Well, that's a different story for a different time.
Wrong show. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's just, what I'm so looking forward to it. I've already packed one suitcase full of T-shirts for the swag bags,
Nice.
and I've got what else do I got in there? I've got I can't give it away. I can't give it away because there's some really cool things in there. See, Jeremy Jones knows. Melinda will snap your neck with her thighs.
Whoa.
Melinda's 6 feet tall, so you got to be careful.
She's like a jiu-jitsu practitioner, or?
Could be. Hey, Chairman Meow, how you doing? Here we go, everyone.
Find out.
Here we go. We rounded third. We're headed for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the UFO report. Filling in for Tim Senor tonight is our new resident Timbit, random guy who's hanging on out, looking good like the lady in red, which is always nice. He's that Christopher song, Lady in Red. Except we're random in red. No? He's dancing with me, cheek to cheek.
Yeah,
so
I was listening to like Bobby Brown, My Prerogative, when that song came out. I don't know.
Yeah, you look like a Bobby Brown fan. You totally look like a Bobby Brown.
Where are we at, Dave?
Well, I just want to, I want to talk just a little bit more about James Fox and
Sure.
everything, and the I like how you called it a bounty. I like how you called it a bounty.
It absolutely is.
Do you see this $200,000 bounty for the alien video out of Varghina, Brazil? Do you see that as a threat? Do you see that as a bravado statement? How do you see that?
Well, are you talking about from James' perspective or overall toward the government?
If this was you putting up this
200, sure, and I would if I had millions, I would give SOR $1 million a year budget if I was worth $100 million just for the giggles of it, right? But no, it serves two purposes. One, I mean, the man's a director; he's a film creator, right? So you got to look at it from two different perspectives. He wants to make money. If you don't, then you don't do that job. But you also have an artistic desire to present truths in an interesting or entertaining way. And so by doing this kind of a bounty, and I do think it is a bounty. I think we're going to see more of this type of stuff where people are going to get frustrated, and rich people, Brandon and others, are just going to say, "Here, if you got the real deal, I'll give you cash," because they can. And it's going to benefit everybody. But in his case, I don't know him personally, but just talking to people that do know him, he sounds like a legitimate guy. He doesn't seem to be obsessed with his ego, but he wants to be successful. So of course he's not going to put out trash. So that video needs to have some kind of substance to it for him to present it to the public, I think. I mean, that's the only danger is what if you put up money for something and it turns out you already dropped the money and then you realize it's probably not living up to expectations in a way that's beneficial. Now, again, 8mm and VHS are harder to fake. Old video, it's because of the magnetic and the things that go into it. If you get a forensic investigator and you can pay people to do these things, they can take those tapes apart and they can read them in a much better way to tell you the validity of that film than a modern day electronic HDR10 Pro RAW, whatever you're shooting in, right? So there is some validity to older stuff that holds up. The problem is the resolution isn't going to be there. So if the capacity of the scene matched with the capability of what the camera can do doesn't measure up to expectations of the audience, it could still fall flat.
There would definitely have to be some legalese and legal type contract involved with this before money changed hands. He would definitely need to know that this is the real video, maybe the original video.
They can date it. They can date it for sure.
But we also need to make sure that any video that is made is a real alien and not just, some shaved down monkey or a human being, a child or a baby that is dressed up in some sort of costume,
or the homeless man that they're proposing from the Brazilian government. I think we would be able to analyze that immediately and know that that's a man that's disfigured versus an alien, right? Would we not understand it? Within the realm of 90% certainty of difference between a dirty homeless guy and an alien. Right?
You would hope, unless you look like the Elephant Man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right, let's move on to topic number 2 tonight, where former Assistant Secretary of Defense. What did you drop there? What did you drop there?
I have 3 devices here with chat, notes, and Twitter because I want to read the Twitter feed after you go through this. Go ahead.
All right. Former Assistant Secretary of Defense Chris Mellon had some very harsh words on Twitter about the head of the Aero UFO UAP program, Sean Kirkpatrick, after Kirkpatrick last week during these quasi UAP hearings, if that's what we could call them.
I call them canned. I prefer canned, but yeah.
Okay, canned works as well. Where he's basically saying that, we haven't found any extraterrestrial intelligence out there. They're not here. There's no UFOs here. Tinfoilers, go back to your caves and under your rugs and basically get out of our way. Okay, so what's your thoughts on all of this? Because Chris Mellon responded pretty defensively on this.
He had 6 tweets. If I could just read them verbatim, I think
Please
that
do.
would.
Please
I
do.
think this will actually. I'm reading straight from Mellon's exact words, so I'm not misquoting, not subphrasing here. So it's only 6, so I'm going to read them to you. So this is Chris K. Mellon on Twitter. I'm not paraphrasing. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. So I like the fact that he addresses him at the start, and he puts it 1 of 6 to let him know these are my thoughts, and here's how you're going to get it, and the characters allotted by Twitter. So in any case, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, no credible evidence of objects defy the known laws of physics, in quotes, restating what Sean Kirkpatrick said in the hearing, right? So he's setting him up to knock him down with what the next tweet is. Second tweet, U.S. Navy aviator Chad Underwood, quote, aircraft still have to obey the laws of physics. The Tic Tac was not doing that. It was going from like 50,000 feet to, 100 feet in seconds, which is not possible, end quote. U.S. Navy aviator Dave Fravor, after encounter with reported Tic Tac, quote, I think it was not from this world. This is a trained observer, professional fighter pilot. Report on Nimitz incident, quote, estimating accelerations range from 75 Gs, which for everybody not familiar, we can do 9 Gs as humans, 75 Gs to more than 5,000 Gs with no observed air disturbance, no sonic booms, and no evidence of excessive heat commensurate with the minimal estimated injuries. And that is a scientific, I love that he quoted that. Quote again, according to Kevin Day's instruments on the USS Princeton, the Tic Tac fell in exactly 0.78 seconds, which means the object had to be moving at 24,000 miles per hour. Fastest terrestrial object is around 35 to 4,000 that's maneuverable, just for reference. And the final tweet. Although what really happened on 11/14/2004 is, and perhaps, never will be resolved with much confidence, for Dr. Kirkpatrick to go so far as to claim there is, quote, no credible evidence of objects that defy the known laws of physics is disingenuous at best. Corroborating reports from multiple serious military witnesses are not proof, but they are, quote, credible evidence, sir. Direct quote tweets from Mr. Mellon. What say you, Dave?
Well, if anything is about, and I'm going to use a hockey term here because it's NHL playoffs.
Let's do it. I like that.
If anything is taken out of this in a hockey term, this is Chris Mellon dropping the gloves at center ice and saying, come on, Kirkpatrick, let's go. Let's go. And I think it really shows how this Arrow program is trying to undermine the U.S. government, the U.S. citizens, the world citizens regarding the phenomena. And what Mellon has basically said is, you're lying. You're lying to the public. You lied in the congressional hearings. Okay, stop lying. You have the evidence. You're refusing to show the evidence. And Mellon is either going to look like an absolute hero to many who are championing the cause, or he's going to look like an arrogant fool challenging someone in a highly positioned government capacity, which we're seeing both of those situations happen on UFO Twitter right now. Absolutely. Is he a hero or is he arrogant?
I don't think he's so much calling him a liar, Dave. I think he wants to make the point because he wants to be able to walk it back in case they fire another salvo. Because here's the problem. I appreciate Mellon's tweets. I do, because I think any sensible person would. Because he's drawing to, how can you say we've 100% ruled this out when your own people just said it's impossible? It's impossible for humans to do. And then you go up there in front of Gillibrand and say, nope, it's all legit. Makes sense to us. So rather than flat out call him a liar for two reasons that bad. One, it poses libel or other legal issues. Two, they have other information that they could dunk on him with. He's smart. Mellon was smart about this because he knows things that other people don't know. I think he knows things that more than we know, right? So because of that, he's taunting them. He's basically saying you're mischaracterizing, you're misspeaking. So you basically look like a fool because you're not speaking on this accurately. I don't think he's going as far as to call him a liar, because what can happen is that Kirkpatrick or whoever he's affiliated with, they can come up with some press release and mumbo jumbo, manipulate this and drop a little bit more information to say, look, we're not lying, it's accurate. Here's some technical standard why what we said was accurate. So he's not calling him a liar.
Okay. Do you think then Sean Kirkpatrick is towing the company line for the alphabet agencies and the military industrial complex?
Yes, 100%. And again, this is where I get conflicted as random guy, khaki pants random guy sometimes, right? Skeptic random guy. Because I understand the need for national security. I feel like there's a way to fix this, but no one wants to listen to random guy. Because I'm not a ufologist, I'm not embedded with the government at that level, but I understand enough things. I think I could mediate almost the relationship, that the problem here, because there is a need for secrecy for some of these projects, and some of our projects might look like aliens. So they're trying to separate some of these things, and I'm on the record as telling you also that some fighter pilots are purposely engaged with some of our projects that they're unaware of, that we have the capability of. So it's not their fault. They're just not briefed on it. They just don't know. And sometimes it's intentional so we can see how our guys react to it before we send it to an adversary, right? That's part of how this works. So it's just a very interesting thing. And I feel like even though I'm just some random guy, so nobody, I kind of have like a little plan how we could fix all this if everybody would trust me, but no one's going to ever listen to random guy.
Well, I mean, nobody listens to us anyways on this topic, right? Even though our numbers just go up and up and up and up. But the idea behind Chris Mellon, I mean, this is where I get confused with everything, okay? Because people like Chris Mellon, Lou Elizondo, you could even go Travis Taylor from Skinwalker Ranch and many other places. To me, I have troubles, and maybe some of the public does too, RG, in taking what they say seriously, because they are people who are literally talking out of both sides of their mouths. On one side, they're talking about we're pro disclosure, we're pro getting this subject out in front of the public, we're here to change the world, let people know that we are not alone in the universe, okay? And then we see the second side of this, and the other side of their mouth, where they're working for other agencies that are about keeping this story out of the public eye, whether it's Space Force, whether it's Arrow, whether it's other government agencies.
Enigma. Sorry, I coughed.
What's that? What did you say there?
I coughed Enigma. I mean, it just sounded like Enigma when I coughed. I don't know why.
Exactly. So, I mean, how are we supposed to, trust someone like Mellon that, or Elizondo, that they have our best interests at heart, when in the meantime, they're being paid by the man to keep the story silent?
It's just, I mean, unfortunately, and then you can look at relationships. Like I've heard rumors of Kirkpatrick being related to Peter Thiel. I don't know this. This is purely speculative internet, Twitter nonsense. But if those things turn out to be true, it just dilutes and adds to conspiracies. And that's why I feel like, here's the thing. If Enigma or whoever wants to get their money and they're smart people and they're connected, let them get their money. I don't care, because you're not going to stop that, right? You look at some of the other social causes, political causes, they get their funding. Let them get their funding. What I'm saying is my appeal, my plea, if you will, to these organizations that are coming together, whether it's Arrow, Kirkpatrick, Enigma, whatever, whoever is in the know, find a way to protect the secrets that I know you have to. I know you have to. And I know part of that means we got to take part of the data out of the equation. I know it. But find a way to do it and give people the answers they want on the stuff we can talk about. Because what they're doing is they're just blackballing entire sections of freaking data. And that's a problem. It's unfun. It's unfair to the public. There's no one seems to be able. Government employees, you got government employees on one side, you got military guys, you got nerds, engineers, physicists, and none of these people are people. They're all really freaking good at their jobs. But when you bring it all together, they can't articulate anything in a viable way, and they end up smoke screening each other so much. They're like, whatever, we hit all our benchmarks, we did the bare minimum legally, and we're all paid, so call it a day, see you at Christmas. And that's annoying, and it's frustrating for the community and for the public.
And I can understand that feeling. Is we have about 3 minutes to go before we have to say goodnight to everyone tonight. But I mean, this is an argument that's going to continue. Do you expect Sean Kirkpatrick to respond to this, or is it best in a person in his position to stay absolutely quiet?
He has to shut up until told to dance. And I don't mean that to insult him. I don't know him. I'm sure he's a brilliant man. I'm just saying it in very layman's terms. If we look at this from a PR perspective, a government perspective, and that guy has to toe a lot of lines. So, I don't envy his position. I'm sure he makes good money, but that's a crappy position to be in, to have to toe that many lines. What I foresee is, I saw the good trouble interview with Gillibrand. I'm seeing stuff like Mellon, and Mellon's not the only one, but he's one of the most respected that's coming out against the hearings. I think what we're going to see is the next round, you're going to see a salvo back. You're going to see a firing back where they justify why they're saying. I think you're going to see some, and I don't think it's going to measure up. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think we're going to get there, but I think they're going to give a reason why they're taking ET off the table. And then that makes it so he doesn't have to personally respond, and nobody else does it either. I think that's how this plays out. End of summer is when you're going to see that. If random guy knows what he's talking about.
Okay. What is the timetable? Because we're also hearing that within the next 6 months, according to people like Dr. Gary Nolan and others, that alien life or extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials, whatever you want to call them, extra Temptation Island terrestrials or whatever they are, okay, might be brought forward with evidence within the next 6 months.
Not a possibility. Not even close.
Why is that?
Because I know people that work. I have 22 years of experience, and I know other people that currently work in places, and even though they don't have to violate national security secrets to me, they can give me the looks I need to know what I need to know. That's not going to happen. I'll put it this way. If they towed us out any substantial, credible evidence, I'm not talking about, hey, we think there might be, and we'd like your help. I'm talking about, here's a video and how we know this is accurate. Or here's something we did and we feel bad about it because we killed this creature, we captured it, or we had this creature and it escaped. If there's anything less than that, it's a fail. If that happens, I will join SOR as a permanent part of the cast for free. And
well, you already are, but that's a different story right there.
I get free underwear. I get free underwear, so there's that.
Hey, you look good in your Dave Scott boxers. You look fantastic in them.
You scared my daughter by looking at those, but yeah.
Excellent.
And I wasn't even wearing them. That's how frightening they were. She saw them in my drawer and was frightened.
Excellent. And they did their job. Random guy, thank you for a wonderful UFO
Appreciate
report. Very much appreciate you filling in for Tim Senor tonight, who needed the time off to take care of his ailing wife. And a big thank you to Steve Stockton for another great story from Among the Missing. Make sure you go hit subscribe on his YouTube channel by the same name, Among the Missing. And our guest tonight, Trey Hudson. What an incredible story about the portals, man. Those things, they scare me. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
You had to put that one, huh?
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio at SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.